Hello and welcome. I'm Peter, the host of this channel. And on this channel, I share my experience as an independent explorer in the world of the occult. Also, I truly believe that you didn't find me by accident and that what I have to say will help you thrive on your spiritual journey. So in today's video, I'm going to visit the topic of God. That is, what God is, in my opinion, what are my thoughts on God, and what has been my experience with Him so far. Pretty interesting topic, if not one of the most interesting topics out there, as almost every human being on earth has wondered at least once in their lifetime if there was a God, and if there was, what is he, she, it like? Oh, and by the way, if you find that this video is to your liking, then please give it a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, as it really motivates me to create more content like this. So this will be a summary of all the time I spent in the occult, together with my meditation sessions, my communication process with the One Great Mind, and the observations I've made through magic. Also, like I said in my previous video, I keep receiving bits and pieces of information whenever I access the Akashic Records. And some of the pieces come together to form interesting stories, albeit it could be a story that I never asked for. God and his game would be one of them. So this will only be my personal experience, no literature, yet still, it could resonate with some of you anyway. I'll also try and keep this short and collected. So the way I see it, God is unfathomable and he will always be from a human perspective. God is everything you can see and cannot see. God is a periodic symmetry. God is the number that all mathematical equations are equal to. As you may know from my other videos, I'm in close connection with the spirit of space, the spirit of nature, and the One Great Mind. And I think that God is all space, including the astral realm, the realm of dreams, and all other planes, plus the mind, that is, consciousness, the original intelligence, the will, the infinite potential, and the infinite memory storage, plus nature. Nature is created by the delicate dance and games that happen between the two infinities. The great infinity and the small infinity, which is zero, within the pool of the mind. I've got a feeling that this is where the entire universe is coming from. It is primarily a spiritual process, and only then, as the vibrations get more and more dense, does it become physical and quantizable. So let's start with space. It forms a very strong basis for God, as without space nothing could come into existence. Space does not simply include the physical plane, but also the plane of dreams and imagination. Everything we imagine in space, in context. Everything we observe or think about comes in space. There is just no escape from it. Even if you imagine a whole new world in a whole different dimension, it would start with space, but more in different dimensions later on. So then let us continue with the One Great Mind of the universe. Without the mind, nothing is intelligible. Not even space itself. Without the mind, consciousness, and the associated will, nothing could be created in space. Will emerges where there is a need for something. In God's case, it is the need to create itself or to get to know itself. The two walk hand in hand. Since God can never be fully created, it keeps on creating itself eternally. In my humble opinion, that must be the underlying reason why the universe is said to be expanding or conspanding, whichever way you look at it. There is also a famous sentence by I don't know who said that everything in the universe is created, except for God. God is uncreated, which means he's never finished, never complete, hence all the constant communication, interactions, and changes in this world. This is the method of the great mind to have all kinds of experiences. It is a self-generating process. As God is telling his story about itself to itself, a certain part of it always stays hidden from itself, namely the part that hasn't been told yet. Almost like a never-ending story. I think this could serve as the original meaning behind the word occult, which means hidden, meaning that certain part of God is always gonna be hidden from himself. This is the reason why searching for God in this world and the occult is a never-ending process. So there will never be a definitive answer to all your questions regarding God. Only a never-ending series of mysteries surrounding his identity, and that is just God's nature. The way I see it, humans, living organisms, and non-sentient beings are localized pieces of the mind, and one thing that is common between them is creation. If I got it right, and there actually was a supreme law to this universe that all are subject to, then it would be the law of creation, eternal creation. Everything creates everything. It is almost like the cause and effect kind of thing. You simply cannot be a part of the circle of life and not create something. Trees create oxygen. Chaos creates order. Clouds create shelter from the sun and then create rain. Offsprings are created through breathing. You make sounds, you make movements, you create new neural pathways as you learn or think. You recreate yourself with each experience you have. Even when you're lying dead in a coffin, you create pressure underneath your body, then some foul smell and gruesome sight. Also, now that you're dead, you've become food for decomposers. The one great mind, this ancient being to which we all are attached, constantly communicates with itself through every interaction that happens in this creative world. So right now I believe the oldest activity in the world is communication. The mind communicates intra and interpersonally. By interpersonal communication, I mean the communication that takes place between you and the voice in your head. That is just how the mind works. The second oldest activity is to play, because it is a game that the infinite plays with itself beyond the realm of good and evil. It is a dance or game that takes place outside of human understanding. If I got it right, then the mother tongue of the mind is frequencies, which in and of itself is a game. I mean, just look at that son of a bitch. Changing positions, dancing to the rhythm to its own designated frequency. Technically speaking, as it travels, it dances with itself. And as it dances, it creates. I don't think that this world has emerged out of pure chance, because if that was the case, then where do you have your intellect from? Such delicate life form as the mind cannot simply be created out of pure chance. Also, the existence of the mind makes will, astral projection, dreaming, storing and accessing memories, and storytelling possible. It also allows you to have precognition, intuition, and many other psychic phenomena. Okay, so now we're entering into nature. Everything that was created has automatically received a frequency or a set of frequencies which then manifest as that thing's nature. By nature, I don't only mean the flora and the fauna, I mean a set of characteristics that describe that thing and gives it identity. God is all nature combined, all the good and all the bad frequencies, which closely resembles that phenomenon when you add up all the colors in the color spectrum, you receive white light. So all the good and all the evil things in this world together is God. But more on the question of good and evil in a future video. What matters for now is that God is all frequencies individually and all frequencies combined, and also all frequencies that haven't been yet created, as there is always a lower and a higher frequency as we approach infinity. I think this is similar to the weird phenomenon between whole numbers and fractions. There are more fractions than whole numbers, but both sets are infinite. So one infinity is bigger than the other? Is God bigger than God? I'd say yes, but not because I can prove it. I just simply accept the fact that this must be the case, even though I cannot wrap my head around the infinite and its nature. Trying to understand this is like having a two-dimensional object understand the third dimension. There is just no way. But it has to be the case that space, the mind, and nature are all present in all dimensions. Does it even matter to us 3D creatures? Do happenings in the fourth dimension impact our 3D reality? Well, first try to understand what does the fourth dimension mean. It means that it has one more direction to the already existing ones in the third dimension. And let's admit, it is hard to imagine a world that is technically perpendicular to ours. Does the fourth dimension still contain the mind? I'd say yes, because without the mind, all of this song and dance of the universe would not be possible and intelligible if there was no intelligence or will behind it to move it and observe it. So yes, I think that happenings in the fourth dimension have an impact on this one, but I doubt if we're ever gonna see the proof of that in this dimension. I think God's favorite hiding place is behind paradoxes. And I think paradoxes have their own designated will, and it is that they don't want to be solved as if they were solvable problems. I'd say that they are gentle reminders that your localized mind isn't fully God's mind, only a part of it. So as a human, your job is not to understand everything, but to accept it and live a life worthy for a human. So it is in you, you got it from God, but it is supposed to be used by a human in human ways. Take a Black Panther as an example. The Black Panther holds less intelligence than a human being, but it is enough for the panther to hold on to its identity. In other words, a panther should know just enough to be a panther. Only humans aspire to be more than humans, and only humans want to understand and solve God. I myself am guilty of this too. However, you as a human have got a body, companions, and many skills to cause change in yourself and in the world if you don't like how things are. So once again, it starts with the will and the mind and results in change in this world. The spirit of nature loves changes. In fact, it likes to cause the biggest change with the least effort. Only God plays by himself, by his own rules, so he always plays perfectly. God has no companion, and thus no real comparison. And with this move, he privatized perfection. This world is God's fingerprint, and each one of us live in a tiny spot on this grand fingerprint. Now there's the question of time. Does time exist on all planes in all dimensions? In fact, I wonder what time is like in the fourth dimension, or if there's a time there. Because you see, time is too whimsical. It slows down and speeds up under various circumstances in space and in the mind. On our 3D plane, time can be seen as a measurement of change. I think time isn't really relevant to God, as time is very flexible and it can differ greatly in this world like a fluid substance. For example, it slows down as gravity gets higher and higher. Time is essential, but I feel like it has no value in the eyes of the infinite. I feel like it just simply doesn't matter to God, but it may be essential to humans and other sentient beings, especially when we look at the process of change. It feels like only we, in the third dimension, live our lives in the tunnel of time. But I think that as a magician or occultist, your job is not to observe the changes you've made through time, but to align your will with that of God's. The goal is a holy union in my understanding. I've been receiving these kinds of messages for a long time now. And why should time matter to a magician who is primarily not aging flesh, but an eternal and divine element of God by nature? A localized perfection, an eternal gem in the infinite cosmos, like a shining star in the night sky. I think that's what the Telemites call Hadith in their story about Nuit, Hadith, and Rahur Quit. So anyway, these are just my honest thoughts, not a TOE by any means, but still, it may resonate with some of you who are curious about the whole God thing. A lot more could be said about this topic, but I promise to keep it short and collected. So there you have it. So that is it for today. Let me know your thoughts on the subject down below. If you want to sign up for the Proxy Spirit Experience, you can still do so through my email in my bio. I'll see you in the next video. Take care. I love you.